where are you on accepting Draymond or not?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is Patrick Beverley podcast, Draymond Green.
I don't just hit people. Dialogue, of course, happens over time, and you usually ain't just triggered by something like that fast, to that degree. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody on my team triggering me, in an instant. We know stuff that you don't say amongst men. You know what I'm saying? We know things that you have to stand on.
Okay, so and then the response comes from Anthony Poole, Jordan Poole's dad. I'm going to stand on this, that's some BS. JP was his guy, and he avoided me all last year. He's a soft AB, and I'm standing on this, and he didn't apologize to me and my wife. So he lame, and me and him can meet anytime he wants. And Jordan Poole, young fella, despite his best efforts, cannot escape.
No, and it's because of Draymond Green. And yes, his dad's
because
response.
Because of a lot of things. And Jordan.
It's because of Draymond Green.
And Jordan.
If Draymond Green wouldn't have gone on the Patrick Beverley podcast and talked about the incident again, Anthony Poole is not going to tweet that he stands on this, that this is some BS. We didn't even know Anthony Poole existed. Right. We figured that Jordan Poole had a father, but none of us had ever talked about him. I certainly hadn't gone to his Twitter feed. So this is a Draymond creation. And yes, if Anthony Poole doesn't respond, is it as big a story? It's probably 90% as big, maybe 80% as big. This definitely adds a little bit of spice to the goulash, a little paprikash. Absolutely it does. Yeah. And I don't think that if I'm Jordan Poole, do I want my dad standing up for me? Probably not.
Nope.
But if I'm Anthony Poole and I've seen my son get punched, the video get leaked, the puncher not get suspended, and see my son go through a pretty tumultuous year. I'm not saying that Jordan Poole doesn't bear some responsibility for his play, for his attitude. I don't know the full story, neither do you, neither does Anthony Poole. I know this as a father. If I saw my son go through what he went through last year, and then Draymond still bumping his gums about it, I'd be pissed.
Of course you would, and of course no one's mad at him for being upset. But I do think that we're giving him maybe a little bit more credit than he deserves here. What did he do? He sent a tweet. Anthony Poole is now a tough guy, and he has defended his son because he pulled out his phone.
Yes,
and typed something to Draymond. Well, I don't know, man.
He basically said, "Come meet me." He called him out on Twitter.
Ooh.
Well, it's
look
a
out.
Something. It's not a nothing.
Look out! I bet Draymond is terrified.
I bet you he is.
A 52-year-old man tweeted at him and said, "Come meet me outside."
Do you think Draymond went to meet him?
No.
You know why? You know why? Because he'd catch that two-piece.
Yeah, I'm sure he would.
What?
I mean, come on. Please tell me you see the rampant immaturity that's happening everywhere from all angles.
I don't know if immaturity is the word I would use.
I mean, it's
in terms of Anthony Poole. That is anger.
It's the word that Steph Curry has used 5 times in the last week and a half in terms of what the Warriors are going for this offseason.
So now they have adults in Chris Paul, a guy who famously went into the tunnel trying to get at the opposing team.
I'm telling you,
these are Draymond's words.
And no, I'm telling you, these are Steph Curry's words, not mine. That's literally my point today. You have spent the better part of a week and a half trying to tell us that this offseason is all about making us more mature. All right, let's look at the tote board. So far, since the Warriors became mature, Chris Paul has been rude to a female reporter who asked the fairest and only question that needed to be asked, followed by Draymond Green going on the very mature Patrick Beverley podcast to have a character assassination on someone who's not even here, followed by a 52-year-old man with his tough thumbs tweeting at Draymond Green, followed by Draymond tweeting him back. My God, the maturity is oozing out of this organization right now. I don't even feel like I belong. This is over my head. You're all so mature. I feel like I need to go read some books so I can understand what's going on over here. Are you kidding me? No wonder Bob Myers is like, yo, out. Deuces. You're ridiculous.
It feels like it's more than just 14 calls a day from Joe Lacob now, doesn't it? Jeez. It feels a little bit more like these sorts of headaches because let's just say Bob didn't step down. And, the executive show with Steiny and Guru. You're laughing. Is it a Zaza week? Is it Bob Myers?
You almost made me spit water.
Which week are we on? Hey, we got Bob. Wednesday. Hey, Bob, how's your summer going? Pretty good, Steiny. How you doing, Goo? Bob, I got to ask you. Did you see the pod with Draymond? I mean, I'm not making fun of Guru. I'm just trying to paint the picture. And Bob would be like, okay, I gotta answer a question about Draymond Green being on Pat Bev. He was on Podcast P. Now he's on Pat Bev and me. And it's like Bob Myers is thinking, I'm out.
Producers call Bob. He'd be like, hey.
Totally.
That's how he'd answer the phone before we put him on the air. I mean, who needs this?
Bob, this is Evan. Are you ready for your weekly appearance?
No.
Is now really a bad time?
Not really. Kind of. Yes, but go ahead.
But he's such a good guy that he would answer everything with aplomb and class.
He would handle it perfectly. But good Lord, what are we doing? Like, honestly.
What is he doing?
Well,
this is where, yes, Anthony Poole standing up, and you keep saying he's 52. I don't know if he really is.
He is.
But, okay.
I looked it up. He's 52.
It's impressive.
52-year-old man.
Big guy, too.
He's a big man. He made an NBA player.
Yes.
With his DNA.
And his wife.
This is a large man. Yeah.
Shout out to Mrs. who did all the hard work.
I mean, I know Jordan looks small in an NBA court. He's a big man.
He's probably 6'3".
Yeah, he's a big man.
So, you say they, and I think that it all goes to he, in my opinion. Draymond did this by going on the pod and drudging up all of this. You can let sleeping dogs lie. Yes. And when you don't let sleeping dogs lie, then you're going to get what you get. And I know tough guy with his tough thumbs. You're not wrong, but if I'm Anthony Poole, I'm so mad. You got a couple choices. One choice, ignore it, take the high road. Choice number 2, social media. Choice number 3, go to Draymond's house and deliver your own 2-piece and go to jail. So, which of the 3 do you want to choose?
Choice 1.
Not me.
I know.
And it's
but choice 2 and choice 3, I feel many people have this illusion that they solve something. And I can prove that punching doesn't solve anything because punching literally created this entire mess.
Right.
It doesn't solve anything.
Depends on who. Depends on which perspective you're coming from.
Neither does tweeting. Anthony Poole didn't put anything to bed. All he did was get a response from Draymond. Now Anthony's got the exact same choice he had again this morning. You want to tweet again? You want to go over to his house? Or do you want to do what Jordan has done the whole time? Shh. Celebrities live in this world all the time. You have to, or I shouldn't say that, in my opinion, you are smart to just, especially if it's something you don't like, let it go away. Time will do that. Time will make these things go away.
But it didn't because Draymond brought it up again.
Right. But
so if I'm Jordan Poole, and I said this before, I would get my own narrative out there. And I said this about 2 or 3 months ago. I would sit down with whatever softball reporter, and Jenny Finch, if she's available, softball reporter, and let them ask me softball questions so I could get my side of it out there.
But how's that going to go? How's that going to go?
Well, Draymond's going to fire back with his own podcast.
And everyone's going, I can't believe that Jordan actually aired the dirty laundry. And what about what Jordan said to him? And if Jordan was so right, then why does Steph Clay and Steve Kerr, why are they also ticked at him? It's not going to go well.
No, but as it sits right now, things that you've been saying about Jordan Poole are either accurate or inaccurate. We don't know. Like, the team was ticked off at Jordan Poole. There's evidence that indicates that may be the case.
There's probably a reason, yeah.
But what's Jordan's side of it? We haven't heard. Why was Clay flummoxed at Jordan Poole? Why did Steph throw his mouthpiece? Why did Steve Kerr say what he said? Why did Steph have to pep talk you in Game 7? These are all questions that he could address with his softball. Shout out Cat Osterman, another great softball player.
No win there.
Absolute win.
What is it?
The win is you get your side out.
And how's that going for everybody? Draymond's getting his side out, and every time he does it, we got a line of calls of people who hate him more. Getting your side out in a situation like this is not going to work. Jordan is 1,000% right to be quiet, and if I had a nickel, I would bet that Jordan called his dad today and said, how about if we don't do that again? Because you just brought it life again. Jordan's whole thing this whole time has been make it go away. And it won't because Draymond keeps it alive, and it will double if he or his family also make efforts to keep it alive. I mean, this is like...
So you're going to let Draymond keep bullying you? Because that's what this is.
But see, that's the fallacy that people fall into. That's
not a fallacy.
It is. It's the emotional reaction that you have when you say, oh, I'm going to let him win. He's not necessarily winning. Jordan has already lost and stands to lose so much more if he gets into the sandbox and starts throwing sand back at Draymond.
I disagree with that because you're doing is letting Draymond continually bully you. He bullied you when he knocked you out in practice, and he bullied you to the extent that you're not a Warrior anymore and you're out of town, and now he goes on Pat Bev's podcast and clowns you again?
You think that Jordan would still be here if he had talked?
I think that Jordan Poole might still be here if he didn't get punched.
Well, but that's not what we're even discussing.
No, the discussion is Draymond Green bullying him.
No, the discussion is whether or not Jordan should be public with this and get into a spat with the loudest mouth in the world. There's no win there. This is kind of something we've talked about this a lot in different forms. By the way, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. In general, when something has a negative tone around it, we want people to talk, but the right thing to do is to not. In general. I'm not going to make that a catch-all, but we had that big thing about Farhan and Carlos Correa. Have your apology presser. How about if we don't? How about if we never say another word, and we'll let Carlos Correa's 240 average do the talking for us, and we'll let the Mets talk for us by doing the exact same thing. It goes away, you're 54-41, and everyone's like, the Giants are amazing.
This is not that.
Jordan's only way is to go average 25 a night. That's the only thing that can make this better. Getting into a spat and bringing this back into your daily life in Washington now, in your new city, to me, that is only negative for Jordan.
It's back in your daily life anyway, and this is my point in all of this. Draymond Green has the ability to, because he's got the platform, the king in new media, he's on everybody's podcast, and he still has his own pod to do. Draymond Green can continue to make this a thing because he's got the platform, he's got the big name, and so Jordan Poole, by being silent, you're just getting victimized again. You're allowing this man to continue to bully you by spinning his narrative. There are certain words you don't say as grown men. P.S. I said that very thing to Kevin Durant repeatedly.
I think you should picture in your head the questions you asked, but then Jordan actually answering them.
Yes.
What would he say?
He would say, I use that word. It's a word that I learned from him, and he taught me how to trash talk, and he loved my trash talk until he didn't, and Draymond was super jealous because I got that bag and he wanted a max and he didn't get the max. And so Draymond got angry and Draymond punched me. That's what happened.
And that would go well for Jordan.
It would go better than the way it's going now.
Oh, gosh, I couldn't.
Because how's it going now?
For Jordan?
Yes.
I don't know, $135 million and he's starting.
Well, he's going to get that money anyway.
I think he wanted this.
Let's talk about, though, Jordan Poole.
I think he wanted to be gone.
What's the impression of Jordan Poole among many people?
It's actually very sympathetic.
Well, I don't think so.
I do.
You're not that sympathetic to it.
Well, I'm certainly sympathetic of getting punched.
Correct, but that's it.
I'm not sympathetic to the basketball player and the teammate that he was.
Right.
But that's my translation. I think very few people think Jordan is like a bad guy.
Right.
I think a lot more people think Draymond's a bad guy than Jordan right now.
But Draymond wants to be a bad guy, and you said this before.
And Jordan doesn't. So getting into the sandbox with a bad guy and being a bad guy with him just makes you another bad guy. And Jordan doesn't want to do that. And that's why he hasn't talked, And spoiler alert, he ain't going to talk this time either.
Right.
Which is why you're right that his friends and his dad, because they're probably sitting there going, we can't take it anymore.
Exactly.
But you know what? To me, that's strength. The strength is to not respond. It's not a powerful position to get down to the level of Draymond and get in there and spar with him, especially when you're not equipped. You're not going to go spar verbally with Draymond. You get crushed.
Yeah.
So
you remain silent,
yes,
and you allow Draymond to continue to bully you and clown you and spin the narrative.
That's your word. I don't think he's being clowned. I think he's being attacked by somebody who can't help himself. And I think that's how Draymond looks.
Right.
That
He's being attacked again is the thing.
But he's not being schooled or clowned or served.
Pumped,
or any of these,
all of it.
All of these ridiculous street words that we come up with. It's none of that.
So what's the takeaway from this podcast? The takeaway is
Draymond,
he got punched because he called me a B, and you know we don't do that man to man. In other words, Jordan Poole, he got what he got, and he deserved it.
Draymond being Draymond.
Right, but
But it's bigger than that because Jordan Poole's dad got in the box with him.
But if you're Jordan Poole and you're listening to this podcast, you're like, man, this guy won't stop. And if you're Jordan's dad, you're like, this is some BS. He used to be his guy. How do you stop a bully from being a bully? How do you stop it, Mark? Because this doesn't stop.
I'm trying to figure out how I can share this story of a couple that I once knew that ended up in a courtroom. And one of the people couldn't stop talking, no matter whose turn it was, and no matter what was being asked of that person. One of the people couldn't stop talking. The other person showed restraint and answered when called upon and said things calmly. The other person didn't stay calm. Who do you think ended up doing well in those proceedings?
The calm person.
Okay.
This is not the court of law. It's
the court of public opinion.
And correct.
And the court of public opinion is not shining on Draymond.
But
at any point
this is where I disagree with you, because Draymond Green wants to be Charles Barkley in essence. He wants to be a bully. He wants to be this bombastic, I'll say anything, I'll do anything, I'm the baddest man around person. So in Draymond's mind, these are wins.
Yeah, but
I'm on Podcast P.
But you can't
it's a
worry
win.
about that.
I'm on Pat Bev. That's a win.
But that's in his head, and you're not stopping that snowball. That avalanche is done. Draymond's going to be a big old media star. You can't get that back in the tube. That's just the way it is.
No, but he's doing it on the back of Jordan Poole. And so if I'm Jordan Poole, whatever, Draymond, you're going to do whatever you're going to do. Keep my name out your mouth. And, but you're not. Now you're going to continue to spin your narrative while I sit quiet?
I just
no
think,
chance.
And again, I hear what you're saying emotionally. I just wonder if you realize what the result would be. If Jordan gets all that off his chest, and then you wipe your nose, and you're like, yeah, got it off my chest. That lasts for 3 seconds. Then Draymond comes back and does it again.
Sure.
So now what?
Well, Draymond's going to do it again anyway.
Right. So why get in the box with him? You're just going to have to go again.
I ask you this again, Mark.
And again and again and again.
How do you stop a bully?
You ignore him.
That's not how it happens.
They're always looking for a reaction.
The bully gets stopped. Do you ever see the movie Friday?
Of course.
How did they stop Debo?
That's a movie.
He got knocked out.
That's a movie.
But
that's a movie.
That's how you stop a bully.
Not really. Because in the real world, when you do that, as you even stated about 5 minutes ago, the police come and then you go to jail. So it doesn't work that way, or else Mr. Poole would have gone and punched Draymond.
Right.
But this is an eye for an eye, and everybody goes blind. You're not going to beat Draymond Green with the gab.
Yeah.
You're just not going to do it.
Well, you're not. He's not going to stop.
And he's looking for a reaction.
Right.
And you lose as soon as you
But
get
he gets the reaction anyway. Whether or not your father tweets or your close friend Instagrams, or if Jordan Poole speaks or doesn't speak, you said it. He gets our reaction, the sports world, the basketball world. So no matter what, he's going to get what he wants to get on the back of you.
Not the same as if Jordan reacts. Do you know how big of a story this would be if Jordan had tweeted at him?
It would be big. Forget tweeting at him. Just come out and be able to speak and get your side of it out there.
It gets way, way bigger. So it's not. I'm sitting here telling you, there's no great answer. Jordan ended up in a really tough spot.
Right.
I believe that what you're suggesting would just ramp it up further and make it worse. There's nothing he can do. And what he can do is exactly what he's been doing. Just keep plugging away, try to wait it out, make it go away, which is why if I were Jordan, I'd be mad at my dad today.
Yeah, I see that side of it, but it's not ever going to go away because Draymond Green, no way. Draymond Green is going to build his post-basketball career in the model of Charles Barkley. He's going to be that guy. Oh, you were the notorious tough guy. We all laugh about the story of Charles Barkley throwing that man through the plate glass window in that bar. And oh boy, it's now lore and it's part of the Charles Barkley, the legacy of Barkley. Draymond Green is going to continue to live off of that punch. And man, he called me the B word. You don't do that man to man. Ha ha ha. Shaq and Kenny. And boy, isn't this funny? This thing's not ever going to go away.
But I mean, go back to if you've been a hoops fan for a long, long time, Rudy Tomjanovich. Do you know what I mean? It's not like was he embarrassed and never allowed back in the party for the rest of his career? No, just
Kermit Washington was basically blackballed from the NBA,
right?
Because of that,
right?
And I
don't believe Rudy Tomjanovich was tweeting at him.
Rudy Tomjanovich almost died,
right?
I mean, he lost the majority of his career.
He was a victim.
Right.
So if you
But Kermit Washington didn't come out and go, he had it coming to him.
Would have gotten worse if he did.
Exactly.
And if Rudy T had come out and got into some sort of social media didn't exist, but if he got into some sort of what match with him, then he's going to be less of a victim. And make it only bigger and bigger. It just grows. A bully, all they want is a reaction. You don't give it to them.
Yeah. And Kermit wasn't a bully. It was just an on-court mistake. That was an actual fracas.
I mean, it's right. It just feeds him. Draymond is eating on this stuff. The more reaction, the better, as far as he's concerned.